Ceredigion Youth Service. We're an organisation that works with 11 to 25-year-olds, and we run youth club sessions, we do outreach, we do summer clubs, we do kind of anything that a young person needs, we kind of meet that need. And my specific role is I work within youth clubs primarily, so I'm a young volunteer, one of 3 in Aberystwyth, and we just work with the kids because we come from the school that they come from, so we're on a more of a personal level. We can really talk to them more in depth about any problems they're having with school, any issues they're having at home, just kind of bridging that gap between youth workers and the young people. So I think that's the one benefit that volunteers have with our service, is that we can just kind of empathise and work with the kids on a different level than maybe official youth workers can, because we don't have the barriers of a risk assessment or the barriers of a kind of the kind of parameters they have to follow. We can kind of be a bit more flexible with that and really work with them in a more way that they suits them a little bit better. I think that's how we work.
Brilliant. So why? What made you decide to volunteer at this organisation then, with this group?
I think what it started with is I started as a young person myself, so I started coming to youth club sessions when I was 11 or 12 years old, and I've just grown from those experiences because I'm an individual. I talk about this quite openly, but I have cerebral palsy, so although it affects me physically, it affected me socially, and I just was kind of really incapable of being socially aware and being socially just communicative and talking to people my own age. So the youth club gave me that platform to really socialise and become the person I am today. So going through that growth and just slowly helping out more and more, starting with doing the dishes every once in a while or just helping run a session, that's now grown into me being a volunteer. And the experiences and the kind of benefits that I've had from being a young person myself growing into a volunteer is what I want to give back to the young people that I work with. And I think that's coming from the experience that I've had, being able to just give that back, because I really think as a young person taken full advantage of the service, so I know what we're capable of doing and I know what I'm capable of doing as a volunteer. So that's kind of the inspiration for me, and that's what drives me, I think, to be the volunteer that I am.
Brilliant, excellent. So what's the best part about being a volunteer here then?
I think it's working with the young people, and it's just seeing that we really do have an impact, because that's what I think some people have a misconception on when they think about volunteers, is that they just turn up and don't do a lot. But with the youth service, we really do a lot within the youth club sessions, and the kind of role that we have is comparable to a youth worker in that we are given a lot of responsibility. I know in youth club sessions we have our own part of our timetable so that we can decide on what sessions we want to do every week. So we really do get to get involved, and then we get to see the impact that we have. I mean, one massive example that we have is we work with CAVA on this youth work panel, where we decide basically a grant worth of money can go to a number of young people or a number of organisations wanting to empower or work with young people on a certain basis. So it's not just within youth club sessions that we can work. We really get to have these connections with other organisations and other statutory kind of groups of people to have a larger impact. So I think that's the best part, is that even though we get to work with young people in youth clubs, we really do get to affect the lives of young people throughout Ceredigion and throughout Wales. In some circumstances we can do more national work as well. So it's really just seeing the impact that we have and being able to be that positive influence and that positive aspect to the young people's lives that can hopefully help them and develop them and let them empower themselves.
Brilliant, fantastic. It sounds as if you really enjoy being a volunteer here at the youth club. So answer this one honestly now then, Tom. Are there any downsides to volunteering?
I think there's 2. It works for different people. So the one is that it does take a lot of time, and you do have to commit yourself to the volunteering, and that is something that for me was really beneficial, because I really like to be a part of something and I really like to have my time filled up. But for other people, they might just not want to commit to a certain level, and that's something you can work with the organisations that you volunteer with. You can say that I only want to volunteer a certain amount but when you get into volunteering, you really do fall in love with it, and then you kind of get frustrated with yourself that you're not able to commit as much as you really want to, because for me, I know balancing schoolwork and balancing my personal life with doing volunteering was quite difficult at the beginning, but it's something that you learn to deal with. But the second one is just, sometimes you do have to kind of realise that you aren't able to do everything that you want to. I'm not able to be a fully fledged youth worker, I have to be a volunteer, and sometimes you want to get more involved than you actually can do. But I mean, that's something that you can kind of resolve with the career progression that volunteering can actually let you have, because for me, I'm actually a fully qualified youth worker now, and I'm capable of doing those things. Maybe not as a volunteer at the moment, but I'm looking to be employed as a youth worker. So the experiences and the training that I've got through being a volunteer should allow for me to be a youth worker and let me do everything that I want to do within the role as a fully qualified professional youth worker in the future. So there's ways of getting around everything.
Brilliant, yes, of course, fantastic. So you would definitely then recommend volunteering to other people?
I think I'd recommend volunteering to absolutely everyone, because there's so many opportunities out there in Ceredigion alone for you to have whatever your interests are and get volunteering in that kind of field. But I think the work that you do is to empower young people. That's the kind of the foundations of it, but it's also empowering yourself, because you realise that you're capable of having a really positive influence and you're capable of affecting these young people's lives in a really positive way. So I think even though you might be working with young people and it might be really difficult, because sometimes you have to work with that kind of, you are a young person but you're also trying to work with young people, but you realise if you step back that you actually are more than what you think you are, and the kind of positive effect that you have is probably a lot more than you realise. So I think I would recommend it to anyone in any kind of situation they're in. It will have a positive impact on you, regardless of what the work you do. At the end of the day, you'll kind of look back on what you've thought and what you've done and gone, I actually have done a really good job and I've done something good and been a better version of myself because of it. So I think, yeah, it works for everyone.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Tom. It's obvious to see that you are really passionate about your volunteering and you are a fantastic ambassador for all the young people of Ceredigion. You've achieved a lot, and yeah, congratulations to you and well done on your volunteering.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye guys. Bye.